Shalom.
Assalamu alaikum
Welcome to Peace Talk, a podcast about Israel
and the Middle East.
I'm Jonathan Sacerdoti, a Jewish journalist based in London.
I am Moataz Mizu, Egyptian journalist, Muslim based in London.
Coming up on this episode.
That's a good question. I've never been asked such a question when it comes to gender and Hamas. It's very sad to see that the Christian population is declining. When I was a kid, there was, I think, 15 or 12% Christian people in the country. And now being down to less than 1%, it's very sad.
Before we get started, let me just wish you and everyone watching Happy New Year. I thought we could have a drink to celebrate.
Thank you, Joe.
L'chaim.
في صحتك.
Bless you. It might seem a bit strange that we're having a beer on the podcast, but there is a reason for it. This week we are going to be talking to our special guest, Madees Khoury, the brewmaster and manager of the Taybeh Brewery in Taybeh in the West Bank, which is a Christian town there. She's going to be talking to us not just about the business, her family and her work there, but also about her experiences since October the 7th. So really looking forward to that.
Palestinian businesswoman.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's actually strange that you're drinking, because I thought that in your religion you didn't do that.
Yes, in Islam it's haram, and in Islam it's clear. Shame to anyone drink it, shame to anyone hold it, shame to anyone stand or sit with anyone drink it. But it's now you are in London, in UK, it's a democracy. By the way, I know some sheikhim here which drink, but in secret. And there is a story which I wanted to tell you, Joe. It's the first time which I drink beer in Egypt.
This sounds like a good one. I'm looking forward to it.
It's in 1994. I think that after the World Cup in States.
Okay.
It's the first time, and one of our friends, his father worked in France, and they bring it to us beer. But it's not a big bottle. As a result of that, we make with this Egyptian beer, we make water and some shatta and some hummus and make it, and so we have French beer and Egyptian beer.
Okay.
But it's exciting.
Beer with water, basically.
Exactly.
Sounds absolutely disgusting. But
but what we said, and you know, we make a secret, like a security secret mission, how to hold the bottle of the beer and how we go to the flat and everything, no one see us. And after that, we close the door. We are four. And we drink it. But it's the first time to drink beer. When I drink it, oh, this is the beer. How are you? First time I meet it.
okay.
So
It's a while ago. You look like a pro now.
yeah.
So anyway, we're celebrating, and that is because it is a new year, even if things don't seem that positive at the moment, in the Middle East especially. 2024 looks like it will also be something of a stressful year, I would say. And I just thought maybe we could have a bit of a chat about what's going on and what's changing in the climate there, because we've seen that Israel's now said it's going to withdraw thousands of troops from Gaza. And there's been a bit of speculation in the media, in the West especially, that this is a reaction to pressure from America to try to ease things off. I thought it was interesting because to me, it seems like actually America's being presented as rather split personality by the Western media.
Sure.
When in reality, I'm not sure it's like that. I think that America is keeping a fine balance. Firstly, it still backs up Israel in its actions against Hamas and says that it has a right to defend itself and to destroy Hamas. In fact, I think most Western countries acknowledge that Israel is doing the world something of a favor in getting rid of Hamas and those sorts of terrorist organizations. But at the same time, they are concerned about the welfare of Palestinian people. And more importantly than that even, I think they're looking towards the future, that after the war is over, when there is the very complicated task of putting things back together in the West Bank, in Gaza,
yes.
and trying to find a good solution for the problems that perhaps won't see us revisit this kind of cycle of wars. I think they know that they have to be trusted by both sides enough. And when I say both sides, I don't necessarily mean the Palestinians themselves, but I think that in the light of the Abraham Accords, they'll want Arab parts of the Middle East to trust the Americans enough that they can collaborate together, maybe, and find a solution that will satisfy Israel's need for security and the Palestinians' need for some sort of self-determination. And they need to be a partner that can perhaps broach both of those.
But there is another point, Joe. In Ilaf, it's Arabic website, and also in some Emirati UAE newspaper, they said that some officials in UAE and also in Saudi Arabia told Israel to get rid of Hamas, to get rid of this Muslim Brotherhood terrorists, please. And after that, when they go to the United Nations, when they go to the on camera, we support Gaza, we support Hamas. But the truth, which also some Saudi newspaper, I repeat, some Saudi newspaper publish it, that many Arab go to Israel and say to it, please get rid of Hamas. And you remember, Joe, when we make interview with Madees Khoury, he told us Egypt, for example, will be so happy if Egypt see Gaza without Hamas. Many Arabs go to Israel and say to it, please get rid of Hamas and the jihad from Gaza.
And I think some of the rumours we've heard this week about what might happen are still rumours, but we've heard Tony Blair's name doing the rounds a bit.
Okay.
And I think that the Palestinian ambassador, as they call him here in the UK, the head of the mission here, Ghassan, was actually very keen he called him out on Twitter, on X, for this rumour, saying that he would have been in charge of forced displacements of Palestinians.
What do you trust about this story?
Well, I don't think that that's correct. What I think maybe has happened is that maybe there have been possibly some conversations with Blair about having some sort of role in brokering a collaboration between different peoples, whether it's Israel and the Palestinian Authority or other Arab states. You don't think so?
I am afraid from anything which includes the name of Tony Blair. Firstly.
You and many people.
And you know that Tony Blair has a good relationship with Mohammed Dahlan and with UAE. Mohammed Dahlan, he is from Gaza City, and now he lives in UAE. Mohammed Dahlan, Egypt accept him, and also UAE, and also Saudi Arabia, but Qatar not to support him. But in conclusion, we should talk about the relationship between Mohammed Dahlan and Tony Blair. Tony Blair, he's advisor to Dahlan, and they cooperate together.
So do you think that's something that works in his favor or against him in relation to a role in what's going to happen next?
It's my opinion. In my opinion, money talks. I think is a Arabic state, which can give to the Palestinians the money to rebuild Gaza, and also the state which can encourage the Palestinians to solve many of their economic problems, UAE. And who is the UAE man now? Mohammed Dahlan. And by the way, the relationship between Tony Blair and UAE is good.
We will have to see whether the Tony Blair rumours come to anything, but that was certainly an interesting idea. And we also saw the news that there was talk that Israel was talking about having Gaza operated in the near future by clans that it already has relationships with, and they would take control over certain areas in terms of distributing food and aid and sort of municipal activities through discussions with Kogat or the Shin Bet and things like that. And so I think that all of these rumours really only point to the fact that it's a really difficult equation that's going to be hard for them to solve and to balance, but that ultimately it's going to take some out-of-the-box thinking, I think, whether it's Tony Blair or clans or involvement of Abraham Accord countries, something that once would have seemed almost impossible to imagine before October the 7th is probably going to be the route which will start us off towards a new future. Now we've got a new section where we're going to look at some of the Arabic media and what they say about the situation in Arabic. So tell me, you've got something that you wanted to bring up this time.
This week there is a guest which said that Israeli Defense Army go to Gaza, make many Palestinians as hostages, and go after that kill them in Israel. okay, and steal their organs, and after that return their body to Gaza again.
This is quite an outrageous allegation. So let's take a look at the clip first and then have a talk about it after that.
نحن نتكلم عن جنود، فما بالك بمواطنين مدنيين أبرياء يتم اختطافهم وإعدامهم ثم سرقة جثامينهم وسرقة أعضائهم وإعادتهم إلى غزة أشلاء بدون أعضاء داخلية، في مخالفة صريحة لامتهان الكرامة الإنسانية كإنسان وهو حي. أنت كذلك امتهنت، يعني إسرائيل امتهنت كرامته حتى وهو ميت.
You hear what he said? Okay, organs. They steal organs. And from where he spoke? London.
And the weird thing about that, it's not only...
It's a threat news show.
It's produced here in London.
Yes.
It's broadcast in Arabic. The most important part is it's based on literally zero evidence. We've had so many people complaining for weeks that they didn't see any photographic evidence or any positive evidence of rapes, of murders, of beheadings, when there was footage filmed by Hamas themselves. And here we have somebody saying in Arabic that the Israelis have taken hostages from Gaza, killed them, harvested their organs, and then given back the dead bodies. And
imagine if you are Arabic, live here, live in Europe. By the way, Al Hawar, it's so famous, very strong channel. If you're Arabic, Muslim, and you live together in the same state, in the same street, in the same area with Jewish, it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous if I know that the Israeli army or Jewish persons kill the Palestinian to take their organs.
do you think they believe it? People believe that?
Why they believe that? Because they want to believe that.
Well, from one worrying video to another now, we've got the video that was released by the Israelis of a confession from a Palestinian guy who they were interrogating. And this is good because it actually shows him admitting that they used the Shifa hospital for terrorist purposes. Let's take a look at that video.
دخلنا جوا المستشفى، علقنا المستشفى. أكيد إحنا كنا في الطابق الأرضي. الطابق الأرضي من مستشفى الشفا. أجوا الطابق الأرضي من مستشفى الشفا. أجوا الجنود من البدرم. الطابق الأسفل. البدرم. الناس العناصر اللي كانوا تحت في الطابق الأرضي أول ما سمعوا الجيش أجا طلعوا فوق عنا. جايين مدنيين. قاعدين. ليه؟ خايفين.
Please, Mr. Ghassan Abu Sitta, and please our NHS doctors to tell us about their opinion about this video. Please, and you can see there is a translation to this terrorist man, and you can see Dr. Ghassan, we wait your reply, okay? Our brother in NHS, we wait you.
The truth is that the NHS march and all of those NHS workers who've been protesting so passionately against Israel may well have the lives and welfare of Palestinians in their heart, but they don't seem in those marches to mention the abuse of hospitals like Al-Shifa, here explained in black and white terms by somebody who actually knows about it up front. And it's interesting, as you said, that we have Dr. Abu Sitta, who has been interviewed extensively in the Western media, here in the UK as well. He's been working in that hospital many times. He was working there after
This terrorist said
the war started.
This terrorist said that the terrorists from Hamas come from the tunnel, sit with the people, sit with the patients, Palestinian patients, and after that they return to the tunnels. So Dr. Ghassan said that they only wanted to attack us. They only wanted to kill us. Okay, Dr. Ghassan.
And beyond that, I've seen
tell
many
us.
interviews where he was asked specifically if he'd seen
Al-Arabi,
any
Al Jazeera,
exactly
the all.
whether he'd seen any Hamas activity in hospitals, and he has always said that he used to hunt around the hospitals looking for supplies and that he had no restrictions on anywhere he would go.
Okay.
And that's been his answer every time. But it seems here that we were actually told by this guy in this interrogation confession that they were actually not just in tunnels under the hospital, they came out into the main hospital, and we saw it in the video, the CCTV that the Israelis released when they acquired the CCTV from the hospital after they went in there, showing the hostages being taken in.
Yes.
A man with a
Yes.
meat cleaver.
Yes.
We saw that there was terrorist activity, not just under the hospital, but
By the way,
in it.
Owen Jones tells they wanted to take care about hostages. Okay, Owen, Dr. Ghassan Abu Sitta, our friends in NHS, please see this video and we wait your answers, your reply, okay, your reaction.
We're delighted to be joined by Madees Khoury, who I actually met in 2017 when I visited the Taybeh Brewery. So Madees, welcome to Peace Talk and nice to see you again.
Thank you. Nice to see you again. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure.
You're
And at the moment, obviously, things are quite tense in Israel and the West Bank and the whole region. So we're speaking to you at quite a different time from when I came and visited. But we wanted to speak because we're trying to get a variety of voices on our show. And yours is pretty unique, as I understand it. You're not just making beer in a majority Muslim area. You're not just a Christian living in a majority Muslim area. You're also the only female brewmaster in the Middle East. Is that right?
As far as I know, correct. Yeah.
So tell us a bit about that, and tell us a bit about Taybeh, because I know that you have the beer, which is actually quite famous throughout the region and internationally, and also you make wines there, right?
Mm-hmm. So my father and uncle and grandfather started the business in 1994, right after the Oslo Accords in Taybeh, the West Bank, Palestine, and it's the first microbrewery in the Middle East. I grew up in the business since I was 9-10 years old, and as soon as I graduated from college from the US, I decided to move back and work with the family full time and learn the business and follow in my father and uncle's footsteps. And that's what happened. Now I'm here, and I'm the first and only female brewer in the Middle East, as far as I know, and I also help manage the business.
So can I ask you, first off, just a few sort of questions as a Palestinian living there, things that some of our audience won't know a lot about. Firstly, do you feel you live in a democratic society there?
I believe, from my experience in growing up here, that we live in one of the most liberal Arab countries, Palestine. A lot of people don't know that there are Christians living in Palestine. They don't know that people drink alcohol, or that we have, go out and read. Like, they think Saudi Arabia, or they think the desert, or they don't know Palestine. And I think by making beer and exporting abroad and selling it locally as well, it changes people's mindset and opinion and the image of Palestine as well.
Madees, in my religion, in Islam, as a majority in your society, the beer and the wine is haram. So tell us about your experience, to you and your family, making alcohol. And I know that some Palestinian attack some factories, something like that, which making alcohol and wine.
In the past, correct.
And even now, I see some accident.
Well, knock on wood, thank God nothing happened to us. But you're right, 99% of the population in Palestine are Muslims. So now at the moment, there's less than 1% Christian people left in Palestine. And yet 50% of our sales is sold in Palestine. The market is very small and limited. We sell alcohol where there's a Christian population residing, so it's 9 cities and towns. But our beer and wine, they're available for people who enjoy high quality craft boutique products, and it's available for those who want to try it.
I actually bought some of your beer and wine when I was there, and took it back to Tel Aviv and brought it to shishi dinner, to Friday night dinner with my Jewish family. So it's nice. Lovely. Actually. This is kind of, to me, this is the vision of the future, that we can coexist in that way. And I wonder for you, you mentioned there, for example, that the Christian population in Palestinian territories is massively reduced over the years. Can you tell me how that feels as a part of that part of society?
It's very sad to see that the Christian population is declining. I think when I was a kid in the 90s, there was, I think, 15 or 12% Christian people in the country, and now being down to less than 1%, it's very sad. But I don't blame a lot of Palestinian Christians who want to leave the country for a better future for their kids, for safety, for freedom. But I do hope they come back and invest their experience, their knowledge, their education, their kids into the country, because this is what I was brought up this way. I was born in the U.S., but I moved to Palestine when I was 10. Finished high school, went back to college in the U.S., finished college, came back to Palestine, and investing my time and knowledge and experience and hard work into the country. And that's how my family believes we're able to build the state of Palestine and the economy of Palestine by investing into ourselves, not just relying on foreign aid or foreign funding, which just evaporates any minute.
Madees, you cooperate with Israeli factories, Israeli people, with Amir. There is a cooperation.
We have customers. We have customers in Israel that sell our beer. It's sold in the big cities like Nazareth, Haifa, Jaffa, Tiberias, East and West Jerusalem. So our beer is available in Israel as well, or from the very few Palestinian products that are available in Israel. You have those who do support Taybeh and who do drink it and do love it and enjoy it, and you have those who don't want to support the Palestinian product. But we don't force it on people. It's available again for those who want to find it and drink it and enjoy it.
And what about the cooperation after the 7th of October? And especially that the atmosphere there. And I also wanted to ask you, if Hamas make a life more difficult, make a cooperation, coexistence more difficult?
Well, since October the 7th, things have become a bit more difficult business-wise, just because a lot of since then, a lot of roads in the West Bank have been blocked and closed. So there's maybe one road for each city and town to move around, to leave and to enter. And then at the beginning of in October and November, the roads were not safe. They were pretty unsafe for Palestinians moving around in the West Bank from Israeli settler attacks and flying checkpoints by the Israeli soldiers, just stopping and causing traffic and frustration and humiliation to Palestinians moving around, even in the West Bank, from one Palestinian city or town to another. And so the first few weeks, there were commercial checkpoints that we used to enter Israel or to enter Jerusalem. They were completely closed. So we weren't able to distribute in Israel. We weren't able to export. We weren't able to import. We were just waiting and praying and watching the news and hoping things get better. Now, slowly, it's not open, but the checkpoints are open. We have to call ahead of time because also there's not a fixed schedule. For some reason, things are off. We have to contact the commercial checkpoint, to make sure that the roads are open, the checkpoint is open, and we're able to send our products to Jerusalem or to Jaffa or to export. So things are not easy. I mean, they've never been easy for the past, I've been in the business for the past 17, 18 years. So every year it just keeps getting more difficult and more challenging. But during these past 3 months, it's not just the Palestinian people that suffer from the occupation, but also our products.
You're obviously quite a formidable person as a woman to have become the only brewer in the Middle East, as a woman in a society perhaps where women are less frequently business leaders, if I'm not assuming incorrectly. Though actually, when I was there, I met a few women.
Not many.
Yeah. Well, so let me ask you there, is that a misconception first off? Is it difficult as a woman, more than it would be, say, elsewhere in the Middle East and in the West, to be a female business person in your position? Do you find that difficult? Are there daily challenges?
Oh yeah, for sure. Even till now, I face challenges being a woman in the beer industry. I mean, women in the beer industry all over the world have it challenging and difficult, but I feel like I have it 4 times as difficult because being in an Arab country, performing and doing business under occupation. When I started, I was only 21 years old, so I was very young at that time. And then just being in a male-dominated industry as well. So yeah, I find it challenging, but I'm very lucky to have a supportive family. And my father, my uncle, even my brother and cousins are very supportive and push me to keep going. And yeah, I think the older generation, working with them, it was a bit challenging at first. Now they sort of got used to me. And now many of the younger generation, my generation, that are opening bars and hotels and restaurants are working with me. And so it's not so challenging. But yeah, I mean, sometimes working with drivers trying to pick up the beer or transport the beer, they talk to my employees thinking that the employee is the manager or the person who's contacting them, whereas I'm the one who's in charge. So I get that bypass sometimes.
I think maybe women around the world are familiar with this problem, not just where you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
On a more serious note, and I know you're not a politician, but as a regular citizen making your way there, what happened with Hamas's attack specifically on women on the 7th of October? How could you receive that? How did you react to that where you are? I'm talking about the gender-based violence that's been making its way out in the New York Times and elsewhere at the moment.
That's a good question. I've never been asked such a question when it comes to gender and Hamas. I've been living in this country for the past 17 years and doing business in the brewery and in the West Bank for 17 years, and I've never faced any problems, me personally, when it comes to Hamas. Not that I mean, I don't know if I'm answering your question or not, honestly, but
well, listen, I accept it might be difficult where you are to answer the question, but I suppose I'm going to push it again if you don't mind, and then which is to say, women around the world have seen what Hamas did to women on October the 7th, regardless of what nationality or religion those women were. And I'm just curious for you, because of the connections you have and the position you sit in geographically and also culturally, how it felt to you. Because obviously you identify with the Palestinian cause, with the mission of Palestinian statehood, and yet I presume you're as shocked and horrified by what happened to women specifically on October the 7th, are you not?
It's whether I'm in the West Bank or whether I'm in Gaza, also Palestinian women do get harassed and attacked by Israeli soldiers and settlers as well. So it's unsafe for us Palestinians and Palestinian women to move around in the West Bank as well. In the past, I grew up during the Second Intifada in Palestine. I used to go to school in Ramallah, and it used to take me hours to get to school. And I used to go through the gunshot, the tear gas, the demonstrations, the blockade. But now, during these times, with unfortunately the very radical government, Israeli government, it's becoming very unsafe for us Palestinians as well in the West Bank to just move around and just go to another Palestinian city. I try to avoid moving around after dark because a few times there have been settler attacks on Palestinians. A woman was shot from a town nearby from my town, just passing from the same road that I drive on a daily basis. So it's unsafe all over, and we hope that this year, 2024, there will be no more attacks on either side. There will be peace, and I'm sure that we have high hopes for a peaceful future for both the Palestinians and the Israelis, because it is possible to happen. We just need to move forward.
If this horrible moment pushes us nearer to a situation where there are two states and Hamas comes to power ultimately in the West Bank, what happens to the Taybeh Brewery then?
Well, Hamas won the government election back in 2010, I believe. I'm off with my dates. And we were still making beer, and we were still selling. And
can you export beer to Gaza?
Actually, before 2000, before the year 2000,
before Hamas were in power.
Before the year 2000, I was a bit younger, but my father used to sell beer to Gaza. There was an international cafe at the beach, and all the international people were there, and they were drinking Taybeh. Now, after 2000, after the second Intifada in 2000, I mean, they can barely get medicine and food supplies. So beer's more of a luxury product, let's say. So we haven't been selling beer to Gaza since before 2000.
So if Hamas came to the power in the West Bank, for example, if Yahya Sinwar be a president, you will continue your work?
We will continue doing beer and wine, and we will continue to be in Palestine and in the West Bank, and we will continue doing business regardless whoever is in power, whether it's the Israeli government or it was the PA or it was Hamas.
In Hadith, in the Islam,
shit
to hold it, لعن الله حاملها ولعن الله شاربها, and shit to who drink it. This is my religion. This is
I
the
respect
Hamas.
That.
Okay, so
I respect that, and also we produce beer for those who do drink it. Christians are allowed to drink it. You know, some Muslims do drink it. We don't force people to drink it, but Muslims who are liberal and open who do drink it, actually. And you have expats, you have tourists in the country, you have Israelis. Our beer is available for those who want to drink it. We have alcoholic beverages and we have non-alcoholic beverages as well. So we have a variety of products, and we will continue to do business, and we will continue to make beer regardless of the difficulties and challenges that we face on a daily basis, because I believe this is how we build the state of Palestine, the economy of Palestine, employing jobs, creating a high quality product, exporting abroad, getting the name Palestine abroad, and enjoying life.
Just to give you a less of a hard time, because I don't want this to be brutal on you. The whole aim of our show is that we're really curious about how things will map out. So I very much admire your strength of spirit and determination in that respect, because so much is unknown where you live.
Correct. A lot of things are unknown. Correct.
Yeah. And our questioning isn't designed to be difficult. It's literally, I'm genuinely curious how someone a family have spent all this effort and time and investment in building up something, because as you said, right now it's a very liberal Arab society. In fact, I remember visiting one of the bars in the West Bank, Snow Bar.
Mm-hmm. It's a fun place.
Yeah, it's a fun place, and you know, I enjoyed visiting your brewery and winery. So I suppose our question is, and you've answered it, I think, as strongly as you can. What happens if your society gets more extreme, more Islamist, more extreme Islamic? And your answer is you're determined to carry on as long as you can doing what you guys do, because you don't want it to be that way. You want it to be open to all people who want the beer and the wine should be able to make it and buy it, is what you're saying effectively.
Yes, definitely. Again, we don't force people to drink our beer. Those who don't want to drink our beer don't have to drink it, you know.
It's a good slogan. You should put it on the posters.
Yeah. You know, we have one of our posters is Taste the Revolution, Drink Palestinian. It's more of to support Palestinian products initiative.
Tell us a bit about the future of Taybeh Brewery, winery, the hotel. What are the new products you've got coming up? What are the new projects? What are your hopes for how you can expand, everything else being equal or let's say better?
Sure. So we have exciting things happening in the business. We are expanding the brewery itself. We've built a building right next door, and we have plans to expand the business, expand our portfolio, our product line as well. And then also we're exporting abroad. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but our beer and wine are available in the UK. We're in London. So people are able to try our beers and wine there.
Where can they buy it? Do you know offhand?
Yeah, of course. So our agent is in Notting Hill. He has a restaurant called Maramiya Restaurant. So he sells retail and wholesale as well. So people are able to take home the wine and beer and share it with their friends and loved ones. But we're also working hard on exporting abroad, entering new markets. We are in, I think, 16 markets now. We are in France, Norway, Denmark, the UK, the US. We're in Jordan. Jordan was actually the first Arab country to take Taybeh beer and Taybeh wine during COVID, surprisingly. That worked out, and we are working now exporting to the UAE and hopefully to other Arab countries. So we have that happening. We are also working with specialty brews. We have a new line of beers called the Brewmaster series, and these are specialty brews, limited edition, and only sold at the brewery. We work with local ingredients such as za'atar, sumac. We work with Dead Sea salt, prickly pear, hot chili peppers, shatta. So Arabic coffee. So whatever is in season, whatever we're in the mood for, we just play around with our local ingredients and make a very nice beer that's available here at the breweries.
What's great about these stories and about what you guys are doing there is that really, I think you're proving that beer, wine, good times can actually bring us all together. And
Definitely.
That's exactly what I think we need a bit more of, especially in your region. So we really appreciate you joining us, and I hope you forgive us for some of the questions that were a little bit tougher, but we've enjoyed hearing everything you had to say.
Thank you, and forgive me if there is a difficult.
No worries. I like a challenge, and you guys are all welcome to come and visit the brewery. Hopefully, when things are nice and peaceful, you're able to visit the brewery, the winery, the town of Taybeh, and we're hoping that we're going to have peace all over, and we'll toast with Taybeh beer as well.
يلا السلام عليكم وألف شكر.
Salamat. Thank you.
That's all we've got time for this episode.
By the way, Taybeh, it means that the city which you can find on it, kind and good people.
Taybeh means good and honest?
Yes, الطيب.
Excellent, good to know. Well, next time we'll make these a Taybeh brew, hopefully. And in the meantime, wishing you all a happy new year. Let's hope that more talk leads to more peace.
Happy New Year. Wassalamu alaikum.